Hello everyone. In this video, we'll discuss about AWS Security Groups. What exactly Security Group is? Security Group is nothing but a virtual firewall that controls inbound and outbound access towards an EC2 instance. This is not only for EC2 instance, you can also apply a security group for other resources like VPC, etc. etc. A security group is nothing but it has different rules configured which will help you to decide which traffic should flow to a resource that you have created in AWS. In EC2, a security group that you have created can never have a deny rule. You can only create a rule for allowing a specific protocol or a specific service. When you create a VPC, VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. We will discuss this in a separate session. When you create a VPC, you can apply up to 500 security groups in it. And every security group that you have created can have around 50 inbound and 50 outbound rules. And the security group that you have created is a stateful future. So it means the return traffic is allowed by default. When you create a network interface on your EC2 instance, you can have up to 5 security groups per network interface. So these are some of the features of security groups. And when you create multiple instances and when you apply same kind of security group towards the instances, then two instances with the same security group will not talk to each other. And every security group that is applied, when you change a security group, the changes will be immediately applied. You do not want to wait for time. So it is a managed service of AWS which has some inbuilt features for immediate effect. Now we'll go into the lab of security groups. So we'll see how to demonstrate or how to create a security group. So in your services page, go to EC2 instance on the compute section, and here you have the resources. Below on your dashboard in network and security, you have an option for creating the security groups. So now if you see, there are 3 security groups in my console. So let me delete the other security groups which I have created earlier so that it may avoid confusions. So by default, there is one security group that has been created, which is a default security group. And this default security group is, so you can notice here, when I click inbound, it allows all the traffic, and outbound also allows all the traffic, right? So default security groups allows all the traffic. So now we'll see how to create a custom security group. So go to create security group, and you can have a security group name. I'll say my first security group. So description will be, this group is used for the web servers in my default VPC, and you want to choose which VPC does the security groups belong to. So I am only having the default VPC here, so I have left this option by default. So now you can go ahead and add the rules. Now you go and click add rule. So I'm going to first configure an inbound security group. Now you can add a rule over here. So now the first column talks about what type of protocol or what type of service that you have to allow to access this particular resource. So these are the following protocols that are available. So you can also create a custom TCP or a UDP rule, or there are several other default protocols which are present, right? So if you are going to configure a Windows EC2 instance, so Windows requires an RDP protocol access for you to log in. And if you are going to launch a Linux EC2 instance, in that case you need a SSH protocol to be allowed so that you can access that particular EC2 instance. So now let me see, like let me say I'm going to launch a Windows session, Windows or EC2 session. So I'm choosing RDP over here. So RDP, the protocol is TCP and the port range is automatically chosen. And here you have the source. So source is nothing but the IP address from where an RDP access will be taken. So here you have to be very careful. So now this source has three different options. So we'll go one by one. First I'll talk about what exactly my IP is. So my IP means when you select this option, AWS will automatically recognize the IP address, that the public IP address which is given to the device that you are using. So for example, if you are launching the connection AWS console from your laptop, AWS uses the IP address that you have configured. So my IP is nothing but the IP address of my system. So I'll just go and verify. So I'll go to Google and I'll say what is my IP address, right? So this is my IP address 150.129.88.199. So this is the IP address that your AWS has recognized. Now if you are choosing an option called anywhere means from everybody, from everywhere around the internet, your EC2 instances belonging to this particular security group can be accessible, right? So this is not a secure way of configuring a security group. So why do you want a security group? You have to restrict the access towards your EC2 instance so that the information that is stored in the EC2 instance should be secured, right? So that is the reason you are going and configuring a security group. So now what happens when you specify anywhere? Anywhere means from everywhere around the internet, your resources under this security group can be accessible. So this is also used in one cases. For example, you are hosting a web server where people around the world wants to access your web server. In this case, you can opt for this particular option anywhere. Now the next option is custom. So when you choose custom, AWS allows you to select the CIDR or the IP address value from where you want to access the resources. Now I can say like I want to access this from 10.0.0/24. So what happens now? Every IP addresses that belongs to 10.0.0/24 will be allowed to access the resource which is present at the security group, right? So you can choose any of these options. So if you are mentioning like 10.0.0.1, then in that case only the IP address 10.0.0.1/32 will be allowed to access this particular resource present in the security group. So now I'll say create. Now my security group is created. I'll also show you how to create a EC2 instance and attach a security groups towards it. So I'm going to EC2 dashboard. I'm going to create an instance. So as this is a demo purpose, I'm choosing a Windows machine which is eligible for free tier. So add storage. I'm not going to add any tags here. So now here you have an option called configure a security group. So now you can either create a security group from this window or you can use the existing security group that you have created. So now let me use the existing security group that I have created. I'm launching it. I'm choosing a key pair. I have a key pair called one which has been created in my desktop. I'm using the same key pair. Click view instances. Yeah, so my Windows instance is launching. So it will take some time for the Windows instance to launch. So now the Windows instance has been launched. I'll go say connect. So this is the public DNS which I'll be using to access the system, and this will be the administrator will be the username, and when I click get password, I'll be asked to choose the key pair that I have configured. I'll say decrypt password. So this will be the password which will be used to launch the EC2 instance. So if you are using a Microsoft Windows OS, you can go to your run prompt, say mstc, and use this public DNS username and password to launch the connection. I'm using a Mac machine, so I'm just going to Microsoft Remote Desktop app. I'm selecting desktop. Yep. So now you can notice here I'm not able to connect to the remote desktop. We'll see what is the what the reason is. Now the reason is because while configuring the security group, we configure the security group only for this particular source address, right? The source address which belongs to 10.0.0.1/32. But my IP address is 150.129.88.199. That is the reason I'm not able to connect using this particular security group. So now what I'll do, I'll go and say edit. So let me choose my IP. Right, I have chosen my IP. Now I'll come back to the instance. So let me say connect. So now you can notice I'm able to connect to this because the security group is allowing me to connect to this instance from only from my IP address.